Hi, folks. I'm George Valentine. I'm an employment services specialist, have been for over 20 years, helping people make the move from being their challenges to landing a job and moving toward their dreams. I've been able to put together the HERO method, which is 6 aspects that show that you are more than what you believe you are, that you can understand the employer's perspective, because without understanding the employer's perspective, you're going to stay unemployed. And the 4 parts of every job: heart, energy, relearning, and owning the work that you do. Folks, today I need to talk to you about one of the most exciting and scary parts of the job interview, the job hunting process from the employer's point of view. I'm George Valentine, and although I am an employment specialist, I work here as a owner of Valentine's Diner to show you the employer's perspective, especially on this one. This one is about references. You see, folks, you can come in and you can work really hard. You can have studied the job. You could have made the connection between what you offer and what I need and connect those dots. You can have a great interview. You can have a beautiful application and lose it all on the reference check. So it's very important, and a lot of folks don't understand that and overlook that as part of their preparation. Please make sure you do, because when I call and try to get your references, and maybe I actually get them on the phone, I need to talk to a real live person and not an animal. You don't want me to be talking to an animal when I get on the other line with them. Let's say that your name is Tony Blake, and I'm trying to see if you can work for me here at the diner. I call up, and maybe if you haven't done the job correctly, if you haven't done the resume reference check appropriately, I'm going to get what I call the blindsided owl. I'm going to call up that employer, I'm going to call up that reference, and I'm going to say, hey, look, I'm George Valentine, I run a diner. Would Tony Blake be a good reference for me? And they're going to say, whoo. And I'm going to know that they're a blindsided owl. They had no idea that I was going to call, or maybe they weren't ready for my call. I'll give them that much. Sometimes they will say, I'll say to them again, thank you for your time. I know I'm calling you out of the blue. Would you be a reference for Tony Blake for my diner? And if they're really not prepared, they're going to talk like a goat. And they're going to say, nah, I'm not going to give you a reference. I don't really know your job or Tony Blake, or if he's really still out looking for a job. Oftentimes, people will give the same set of references for a whole set of different jobs. And customer service, to me at the diner, is different than customer service, say, at a retail store, or let's say over at a hospital. So maybe that reference would have been great for one place, but not for me. Think about it for a minute. Because sometimes when I call and I say, hey, would Tony Blake be a good candidate for my diner? They'll sound like a dog. And they'll just say, rough. They don't think that it would be a good fit. Sometimes they'll even say that it wouldn't be a good fit, and they'll start sounding like a sheep and say, bah, it's not going to work out. Sometimes they even get a sheep dog who will say, bad, rough. I don't want to be talking to that person. They don't want to be talking to me, and you don't want me to be talking to a reference who's acting more like an animal than a real live person. Sometimes I even get those that sound to me like a fish. And you know what a fish says? Blub, blub, blub. I'll call up and I'll say, hey, Tony, I understand that Tony worked for you from January to June. Can you tell me more about what he did? And they'll just say January to June, blub, blub, blub. I understand some employers are like that. They don't like to talk much about the actual case of a person. And I can understand that, and I can appreciate that. For every one of them, I'm going to need at least one that will talk to me like a real live person. How can you make sure that I don't wind up talking to a blindsided owl, a goat, a dog, a sheep, or a fish? 3 ways. First of all, help the reference know that they're appreciated. A lot of times folks will say, can I use you as a reference? Can you imagine that? Can I use you? Would you mind being used for just a little while? Because it would really help me in my job hunt. Instead of being used, show them that they are appreciated. Show them that they are part of the solution that you're looking for. That's number 2. Help them be part of your job hunt. Help them understand that without them, you're not going to land that job. Keep them up to date on the bullseye that you're using. That's another video that you could watch. Help them understand that they have that capability to be part of your solution, part of your dream. People love being part of something bigger than themselves. Your reference sure fits that description. And finally, one way that you can really help out is to sit down with that reference and talk over an example that they could use. Don't tell them, hey, I want you to use this, 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 and this. But tell them instead, hey, remember that time when you needed someone to work double shifts for a few days and I was there for you? Remember when we had that unsolvable problem and I helped you solve it? Think of it that way. If the employer, instead of saying whoo or nah or rough, they can say, hold it a second, Tony Blake, I remember when Tony helped me out when I needed somebody to help me out. That's the kind of reference I'm looking for. That's the kind of reference you're looking for. Folks, get out there, meet those 3 qualifications for your references. Number 1, make sure that they feel appreciated. Number 2, help them be part of your solution. And number 3, give them something that they can work with. Give them a track that they can run on. You'll be glad you did. Thank you, folks, for coming to Valentine's Diner. Come on back to the Hero Method and Valentine's Diner when you can. Bye for now.